Welcome back to Hidden Christians, and today we're going to be talking to a 15-year-old who told his family that he was a Christian when he was 14 years old. Absolutely insane story. The Holy Spirit was moving today, and so please get ready. And if you're new to this channel, please like and subscribe and share this message with someone new, because this channel is all about hidden Christian testimonies from all across the world. And if you've been here for a while, like, subscribe, share, because these testimonies are going to change people's lives. So let the Lord do his will, and let's get on with the video.
Yeah, bro. First of all, I'm very happy to be here. I still can't believe that I'm actually sharing my testimony with a true man of God right now. And so let's start. So as Naga said, I'm still in a devout Hindu family, although I myself are Christian. But my story really takes place about 4 to 5 years ago, in the summer of 2018. So me and my mom were going shopping for groceries, and there's this right next to the automatic door that opens for the grocery store. There was this table stand, and there were two people sitting there, and I was very curious because they didn't really have that, I guess, typical Western style clothing. They had more of a traditional Hindu style of clothing with the dhoti and their face markings. And so we went over there because my mom, as being a very devout Hindu woman, she went over there. She was curious, and so was I. So they introduced themselves as Shastrika and Amy, and they said they were part of this organization named the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, known as ISKCON. And so the man, he said that I had a really spark in my eyes, and he lent me a book. It was named Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he told me to read over it, that he was just giving out books, and not really for money, but if we wanted to give donations, we could. So I took the book, and I was very curious because at that time I wasn't really a Krishna devotee. I was more like a traditional Hindu, worshiping many gods and other stuff. But that organization's main focus was on the Hindu deity Krishna, and they thought that Krishna was, the cause of all causes, the creator, the maintainer, the destroyer himself. And so I went home with that book, and with a question in mind, I didn't really know if what I was going to read is true, but I said I'm going to give it a shot, because just to respect my elders and my mom, who personally said that she would like me to read that book. And so I opened the book, I began reading, and it was the pastimes of Krishna when he was a little boy. And so I think Naga knows it way better than me, but I became very affiliated with the organization. So I researched the organization on Google, and their founder came to the United States at New York along 1960, and they began spreading the word or message of Krishna, or more of like their sect in Vaishnavism, known as Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And what they believed, that there was this person 500 years ago named Chaitanya. And so they believed that Chaitanya was more like an incarnation of Krishna and his consort Radha. And so they thought that he was a special incarnation for this certain time period. And so I became very interested in that type of philosophy and ideology. And I began chanting. I took around 16 rounds of their Hare Krishna Mahamantra. I used to spend my time chanting, reading their books, and probably in 2 weeks I finished that Krishna book that he gave me. And so when we went to the same grocery store about 4 weeks after that first incident, he gave me another book. It was named The Bhagavad Gita as It Is by Swami Prabhupada. And so at first I was hesitant to read the book because I didn't really want to. But then, of course, my family pressure came on me. And so I was more inclined to read. And I began reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is book. I began to become more affiliated with their organization, more with the faith. And I even actually, for about 3 years, became vegetarian, because the more moral philosophy of the Gita was that people who kill animals in the future, when they are reincarnated, they will be killed by the animals themselves, taking another form. So I read that and I became very scared of it. So I became a vegetarian for about 3.5 years, and I'm now not. But yeah, and that was really my background on that. And I used to go to temples, as probably Naga did also. I used to become very affiliated with it. I used to wear their neck beads. They call it the tulsi thing, the tulsi mala. I used to chant, of course, as I said. I used to wear their put on their face markings as they have, to represent their sect of Vaishnavism, which is the worship of Vishnu as God himself. And within the next 2 weeks, I finished the Bhagavad Gita. And so he came by and gave me there was this book, I still have it. It's called The Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And it was a biography. Well, no, it was a hagiography of this person named Chaitanya, who started the sect about 500 years ago towards Kolkata, India. And so I began reading that. I became very interested in his teachings, and how he was like more of a mystic, but like a more mystic that wasn't focused on attaining any like superiority over others, but more, I guess, I think a love for Godhead. And I was very surprised, because all the other, swamis and all their teachers of Hinduism nowadays, especially, they claim themselves to be God. And I was very surprised at what that guy's teachings were. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I also went to the man who introduced me to that organization's faith, and his house, or his ashram as he calls it. And he actually towards the December of 2019 or 2020, he gave me a complete 20-book canto package of the epic known as the Srimad Bhagavatam, also known as the Bhagavad Purana. That is basically a very central book of Hinduism and Vaishnavism as a whole. And I actually finished that, all those 20 books. I finished reading it. I began getting some knowledge within like a year or so. And by that time, there was like no going back. I was constantly thinking about Krishna. I was thinking that no, there can't be any other God, and that Christians are wrong, Muslims are wrong, even other sects of Hinduism like Shaivism and Jaivism and Shaktiism, all of them are wrong, and that Krishna is the only God, and that no one else can't be true except for this one God named Krishna. That's basically my background, and I'll share how I became Christian after Nag asks me, of course.
Well, one of my next questions is, how did you find Jesus in a devout Hindu family, and with the background that you grew up with?
So I used to go to temples a lot. So after I would, as I said before, I would read all their books, all their philosophical books. I would listen to the teachings of the organization's founder, Prabhupada, and taken in the 20th century. I used to become I was entangled within the organization's faith, but I never truly felt, that love within me. I was getting frustrated at one point, because all the teachers, the organization's founders' teachings was that if you keep on chanting, chant and chant and chant, repetition and repetition, which is actually a sin, as said in the Gospels, that vainless repetition has no fruit. So he began to say that if you keep on chanting, if you keep on repeating this mantra, this saying, you will eventually find happiness. And so I was getting frustrated. I used to chant 16 rounds. I used to chant 4 rounds. I used to go on endlessly, even throughout the night. I used to take fasts every 11 days in a month, 2 times. I used to take this one. I took this one fast while I was in the organization's faith. No, where you can't even drink or eat anything or drink anything for a whole day. I think it was called Nirjala Ekadashi. And yeah, so one day there's this Christian missionary or this preacher who's doing door-to-door Bible distribution. And so he came up to my mom and he began sharing the gospel, and I was becoming interested because I was reading the Bhagavad Gita again, and then like 6 feet away from me is a Christian missionary telling me the teachings of Jesus. So at first I became frustrated, but then I was interested. So I went up to the door, and he said, he began teaching me and introducing me to the Gospels and the epistles. And he took my hand. He said that he called me by and I introduced my name to him. I said, I'm Ankar, and I asked him what he was doing. And he said that he was spreading the words of Jesus throughout the world so that everyone could be saved. And I had a question in mind, because there was nothing really significant about the man that I saw at first. But then as we began to talk even more, and he ended up actually giving me a copy of the New Testament itself. And I still have it. That's basically my book, my Bible book that actually saved me, that Jesus used to introduce himself to my life. And he said that he would pray for me. And he said that I was actually living in sin. And I was very shocked to hear this, because I didn't think personally that I was living in sin, because all of the theological knowledge that was in my head of Hinduism. So he also took my hand and he started to pray. He was praising God. And for the first time in my life, when he was praying and when I was closing my eyes, I actually started to feel God's love within me. And I was like, no, there has to be something within this message that's true. There's no way that I'm feeling this love for the first time when I should really feel it when I'm supposed to be chanting. And so that basically introduced me to Jesus. And I brought the book home. And I started reading the Gospel of Matthew and Mark. And I was very frustrated at first, because all the Bible's genealogies, I was like, I was thinking, why is this important? Why is any of this important? But then I slowly began to know that how the genealogies of the Bible is actually important, because it describes how Jesus fulfills the prophecies of the Old Testament's prophets, of how he was, how the Messiah was supposed to come from the family line of David, and how he was supposed to be the son of Joseph, and how he's supposed to be the person who takes away the sins of the world through his stripes. And so I was very intrigued at that, and that's the answer for that question.
Yeah, thank you. That's powerful, man. And I'm curious, like, after that prayer, like, there is why did you convert from Hinduism to Christianity? Was that prayer? Like, what was going on in your mind, man?
At first, it actually took me a time, because as the more I read the Bible, the Gospels, I began to become more attracted to it, and I began to question myself about my perspective on worship. I was questioning myself: are these stones actually God, or are they can't even listen to me? They can't feel my emotions. They can't talk. They can't do nothing. And is karma and all this reincarnation actually a thing in the world? Because yes, what a person does, he reaps, but that doesn't mean that's like you take that to the extreme amounts and stuff. So I began to become more attracted to Jesus, but then I was also maintaining my past faith also. So I was serving two masters at once, which the gospel say you can't do it. You can't do that, and that you only can serve one master. So I began to think that Krishna is still God, but then Jesus is the Son of God. So I had this dualistic view in my life. And also, when I actually searched up Jesus within the organization that I was following, they were more along the lines of what my thinking was. They're saying that Krishna is God, that Jesus is the Son of God, that he came as a light to the world to teach people, but that really didn't make sense to me, because I was reading the Bible, and the Bible was telling me that you can't serve two masters. But then this faith that I've been holding on to for about 3 years is telling me that Krishna is God and Jesus is God. And so I began to see the problems right there. And it was really that first prayer that attracted me and got my life into Jesus Christ. But then after that, it actually depended all on me, because at the end of the day, it's all up to yourself. You can decide if you want heaven or hell, or if you want truth or false. So I began to read the Gospels even more, and the more I read it, the more truth came unto me. And so it was about the summer of last year, when my mom and me were going to a park. You know, it was like summer sunlight, so we just wanted to walk around a little bit. And so for the first time, I actually questioned my mom. I was saying, are we really doing a good job by worshiping stones? And the first answer that she gave to me is that I seriously don't know, but it's what my ancestors have been doing. It's what my family has been doing. So there's no way that I'm gonna change my tradition and my culture at this age and go to another faith or another philosophy. And at that moment, I kind of felt weird. I didn't know how to respond, because I know what she was saying, but then there's a part in me that was like, even if your family's been doing it, or if your great grandpa's been doing it, or your great grandma's been doing it, truth is truth. So you got to know the truth. And again, that dualistic view of life took control over me. And so we came back from the park, and this is where I transitioned from that dualistic view of life to that one centered view. I questioned my mom again. I was saying, Mom, I said to her, I'm finding errors within the Bhagavad Gita. I'm finding errors within the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm finding errors within the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. What should I do? And my mom caught hold of me, and she was like, if you want to be a Christian, then, well, she knew that I was reading the Bible, and I kept on reading the Bible more than I was reading the Hindu scriptures. And the first time in my life, my mom might have thought it was selfish, but it was for my own good. And so I said, you are not worshiping the true God who created you. You're worshiping false gods. And so my mom heard that, and she said, the first thing she said to me was, if you want to be Christian and worship another God, then you can get out of my house and worship another God. And I felt really shocked at that moment, because I thought my parents would support me with every decision that I would make. And that I even said to her, I'm worshiping the God that I feel who is actually God, and not the gods that you worship, because I feel like I've found the truth. And so when she said that to me, I felt shocked, and I felt I didn't feel any hope at that time. And so that was more of my transition from Hinduism to Christianity, and the teachings of Christ.
And during that time period, one, I know that how shocking that is to hear that from your own family. And during that time period, like, how did you grow closer to Jesus while still living with your family?
I think I developed and matured from that time until now. And so I was able to read the true message of the Gospels. I was able to get closer to Jesus. I was able to actually listen to worship songs and fill myself with joy, with the joy that Christ gives me, compared to, my constant repetition of saying the same phrase again, but feeling no feelings, feeling no love, feeling no actual sense of joy in my heart. And so the thing that really caught me, or was able to keep me from diverting from the path of truth to the other path that I was taking before in my life, was really the Bible study that I was doing by myself. And I wasn't hiding it from my mom, because I knew that one day I have to tell her. So there's no point in there's no point in hiding it when I'm expressing my feelings and I'm expressing my thoughts. And so that was the personal Bible study was what really kept me from going and diverting to the false path again. So yeah.
Mm. And what age did you tell your Hindu family you were a Christian?
14. That was last year. I'm 15 right now. I turned 15 January 20th of this year. And yeah, it was about last summer that I've had that conversation with her. Well, both of my parents, my dad also. My dad's like, all my dad says to me, really, when we're talking about, faith and all that stuff, he basically says, it's like the more new age concept of faith. He says, so there, it's like a story, but like I knew it wasn't true, because again, he was doing that, serving two masters and multiple masters at once. So he said, a Buddhist comes from here, a Hindu comes from here, a Muslim comes from here, a Christian comes from here, a person who believes in the Shinto faith comes from here, the Baha'i faith comes from here, and a Jewish person comes from here. And in the middle, there's God. They worship God, and then they go to their respective places. And I knew that was wrong, because it seemed nice. It seemed like a more peaceful thing, but reality it wasn't. And that's basically the trick that the enemy wants to play on us. He wants to make it seem like it's good at first, but then the thing is, he doesn't reveal what's at the end. And so that really caught me right there.
Yeah. That's fair, man. We hear the arguments all the time. All roads lead to God, but all roads are completely different. Hindus believe in something different than Muslims. Muslims believe something completely different from Buddhists. Buddhists don't even believe in an actual God, but rather to denying ourselves and extinguish. So all roads don't lead to God, because each and every religion has a different thought process and way to God. So yeah, man, all roads don't lead to God. And so that's really good that, you kind of had that discernment that the Lord gave you that. So you said that you told your parents the truth just because they're gonna find out anyway. So you just go ahead and tell them. And how did the way your mom reacted was to kick you out. How did your dad react?
My dad, he's been a more in and out guy. So he's not like in and out with our family, but like since his mid-20s, he's traveled to a lot of countries in Western Europe. He's traveled to Australia. He's traveled to Canada, the Americas, and all those countries. And I think he has a more liberal view in towards faith. But it was actually a month ago that I was sitting in my bed, and so my dad sitting on the couch over there, and he said, he began to say, he called me and he was like, Omkar, at first, did you remember that time when you were Hindu, and when you said that you don't have any, when you said to me, you don't have any mantras, you don't have any tantras, you don't have any faith, you live a void life. He said that to me, and I said, I do remember. And he said, well, right now you're following another path. So what does that make you, a hypocrite? And so I didn't really know how to respond to that, but the instant feeling that I got in my head was, tell him the truth and express your feelings. So I said is, I didn't want to expose myself to false gods and to a false view of life that I thought was immorally wrong. And so as soon as he heard that, he gave me that lecture again, the all roads lead to God thing, and that you should respect all religions. And I said, I do respect all religions, but I don't feel like all religions are true. And I gave him the example that if a person wants to go to work, he's in the hospital, or a person wants to go to work, he can't go, and there's only one door, right? So he can't go through any other way. You can't climb a window up, which is wrong. You can only go through that one door and reach your final destination. But he really neglected that saying that I said. And that was his first initial more stern reaction, but he hasn't really said anything after that. It's more my mom who said, the typical things that your parents said to you, like brainwashed and get out of my house and then you can be Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Those stuff.
Wow. Okay. And have you told your extended family, extended Hindu family, that you're a Christian?
I have, but whenever I try to, my mom plays that defensive mode on Hinduism. She says, no, he's not trying to become Christian. He's just reading the Bible in order to find more stuff. So, and we actually had that conversation with my uncle yesterday. And he was, I told him that I didn't want to do, they were talking about doing a initiation, like the thread thing. I don't know what it's called. Yeah. They were talking about doing the initiation for me, and I said I didn't want to do it because I was not Hindu, and that only Hindus can do that. And so my uncle began to say things that the Bible says or teaches, that he felt that was wrong, that it's wrong to eat meat, and that the Bible teaches that only you have to eat meat to be a Christian, and all these false perceptions of Christianity as a whole. And so my mom instantly, she came to that scene and she was like, Umkar doesn't want to be Christian. He's just looking at the Bible. He's reading it just to find out more truth. And she's really hiding like that central message that I was trying to display to my extended family also. And
That's tough, man. That's tough. I know it's scary to sell your extended family, and your mom was playing defense.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. And so we talked a little bit beforehand that you didn't share with any of your Indian community either, because you're not currently involved in your Indian community. So something that I believe so many times is that we see in the Bible that God has a purpose for our pain. God has used the pain of courage to create something new for us. When David went up against Goliath, God took down the giant for us, all of Israel, and then placed David in position to move forward. Jesus bravely faced the cross and he conquered death for all of us and was placed at the highest position of honor. And so I want to ask you, how did God help you after you bravely told your Hindu family that you're a Christian?
He gave me the spirit of hope. He gave me that spirit that Jesus talks to his disciples, the spirit of truth whom the world cannot receive. And yet you have received it because you have believed in me. He truly began to show me that he was there for me, even though when others weren't. Right? That he was playing the role of my real father, or my mother, my brother, even though I don't have siblings, my brother or sister, or my best friend, basically my everything that I really had in life. Truly, that wasn't really gonna who was really not gonna give me up in a sense of way, no matter what happens in life. And so that's that's how he helped me grow, develop throughout time. Throughout this whole year, it's been difficult because a lot of people through this pandemic have, they've started to blame God. They've started to say, oh, well, if God cared for us, then he would have released a deadly disease to kill over so many millions of people throughout the world. And that God, if he really cared, then he would cause peace to the world and not give any of these horrible things that are happening. And whenever I hear those types of news, even coming from my own friends, sometimes I say to them that, it's truly not, you're looking at it at the wrong perspective. It's not God who's doing that. It's just that the sadness and the lack of hope that you have had throughout this past year, that's been causing you those feelings. And yeah, that's it.
I'm gonna cry. That was good. It's a good answer for that question, because that is a hard question to answer. And I also have a semi-hard question for you. How is your relationship now after everything, after the last year? How's your relationship with your family now?
It's been good. My mom really doesn't. I've depicted a pattern in my mom that really, gets at me sometimes. Whenever I do something wrong, or whenever I, let's say one time I got, 75 on one of my AP Human quizzes, right? And whenever I have those short moments of I guess failure, my mom, she targets that specific moment. All she says is, well, not anymore, but she says that if this all happened because you left your own God and went to worship another God, this all happened because you didn't stick to your family, your cultural traditions, and you began to go to a foreign perspective of life. And yeah, it's been hard, but God's given me a lot of hope throughout this whole year, and the times that I feel like that.
Yeah, good. That's good, man. I face the same sort of situations in my family. So, we talked, really deeply about your testimony today. And is there anything that you want to share to someone who's afraid to share their testimony, their friends, family?
I just say you're gonna have to share it one moment in your life. So, and if you don't share it, well, then you're not really a follower of Christ, because one who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, right? And one who is doesn't take up his cross and follows me daily, he's not worthy of me either. And one who denies father one who denies me in front of men, I will also deny them in front of my Father who is in heaven. And so you have to take that message to heart, and you have to say, is that temporary moment of peace and hiding your Lord and Creator, your Savior, the one who showed you truth, worth it when you face God himself on Judgment Day, face to face, one on one, man on man, because there's no one else is going to intercept for you on that day. That's it. You've had your time. God's going to say you've had your time, and you're going to, I guess, do an interview with God, and you can't really say anything because your whole life is depicted at that time. So I would say, make the right decision. Tell your family the truth. It stings, it hurts, right? No matter if you're Hindu or Muslim or, I don't know, even Jewish or atheist, or it doesn't matter. Just share with your family the truth. And if it hurts, go straight to the Word, and the Word will give you hope. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, bro. Thank you. That was an amazing way and to end today's video. And so I just wanted to ask you, is there anything that we could be praying for you in this season of your life?
I would say pray so that I don't fall into temptation. I don't really fall into temptation, but as soon as you accept Christ as Lord, the devil's fine with what you're doing before you accept Christ as Lord. So as soon as you accept that, there's a lot of things happening in your life that you don't know of yourself, because you're not in that. You don't have that spiritual perspective on life. You have that more materialistic perspective. Well, I'm gonna get money. I'm gonna get a woman. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get that real fancy job, or I'm gonna buy that Lamborghini or whatever. It doesn't matter. But as soon as you accept Christ as Lord, the devil's going to come at you, because now you've created a threat to him, right? So I would say I would like you to pray for me to not fall into temptation, for me to ignore those thoughts that come in my mind that deny Christ as Lord, that go against laws of God. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, we'll be praying for you then. Well, thank you so much, bro, for jumping on here. Omkar, it's been a pleasure having you. And if anyone wants to reach out to Omkar, if Omkar is okay with it, I'm going to put it in the description below. So when you watch this video, you can get in contact and ask him any questions. But other than that, thank you so much for this interview today, bro. And thank you all for watching this video. Please like and subscribe and share this with someone